Beer's microphone. I feel like I need to do a little bit of hit me, baby, one more time. How many people in here did not see me last year? I had a stern talking to this year. They told me to keep my language to PG-13 level because apparently I offended some people last year, but I don't think they realize people still say fuck in PG-13 movies, so. Sorry guys, it's still PG-13. Also, I'm a walker, so I'm not gonna stay on this side, so all you people that have been sitting over here, cool, you're gonna have me like up in your faces today. So, I talk really, really fast. I'm trying to squeeze in as much stuff as I can into the presentation. You're probably not gonna be able to keep up if you're writing out notes. So, go to this bit.ly link right here, bit.ly/doc-brown-SEO. The slides are already up on SlideShare. And also, throughout the presentation, I will have specific ideas and tips that if you want more information, I'll either have a video or an article that you can go to. There will be a bit.ly link down in the corner like that. If you're a person that writes your notes in all capitals, make sure you write the bit.ly links in lowercase because they are case sensitive. So I run the SEO department for DealerOn. We're the third largest website provider for auto dealers in the United States. And so I do car dealer SEO exclusively, and I've in fact been in automotive exclusively for almost 9 years. I'm one of the top experts in local SEO, so I fly all around the world speaking at conferences. Last year when I did Confluence, I spoke and then had to go jump on a plane to fly to London. So I see a lot of crazy presentations, and I feel like it's my job to give as much helpful information as I can to people. So one of the things that I do is on our blog every Wednesday, we have what's called a Wednesday workshop, and it's a free video series. You don't have to fill out a lead form or anything. So go watch that. It's 80% SEO, about 20% PPC, really quick, snackable 3 to 5 minute videos, so make sure you watch that. But also, because I go to so many presentations, I see a lot of really bad presenters, and with SEO, it tends to be a lot of guys that, you know, the first time that they've come out of their cubicle in 6 months is when they're coming to speak at this conference, and the background of their slides is just white, and it's black text and bullet points, and the presenter just stands there like this and just reads their slides, and you see their back the whole time. And I'm a firm believer in the fact that bullet points kill kittens, so this will be a bullet point-free presentation. And you probably noticed the Back to the Future reference there at the beginning. I was a film major in college. I'm really obsessed with movies. I'm working on like a full sleeve of movie portrait tattoos. Like it's kind of out of control. But every time I do a presentation, there's always a movie theme. And so last year I did comedy movies here. This year we're doing sci-fi. So there are 105 sci-fi movie references today, with at least one movie for every year in the last 50 years. And I know there's a lot of young bucks in here. So those of you that don't know some of the older things, I do have attribution down in the corner so that if you guys are curious, you can go look it up later. So, are we ready? Yeah. Are you guys here today because you need a hand with SEO? Right? Are you spending too much time looking up at your competitors that rank higher than you do in searches? Because SEO, it's a really tough puzzle to crack. And it's an endless battle for supremacy. It's like a king of the hill kind of thing. You're always fighting to be number one and stay number one. And unfortunately, when it comes to SEO, you can't just float along, because if you float along, well, then you blend into the background. And if you blend into the background, then you're virtually invisible to your customers. And that's not really going to work too well for you, is it? So today I'm going to give you some tips that are going to help you jump out and grab attention, so that when people are searching locally, they're going to find you. And I'm going to show you the code behind the matrix. You'll understand how Google's local algorithm works so that you can get your sites to show up, or your client sites to show up better. So get ready, because I'm about to turn your world upside down. So this is an interactive presentation. I need a show of hands. How many people in here still want to be number one in Google? Who wants to be number one in Google? Everybody. If you're not putting your hand up, you're stinking lying. The problem is, number one is not what it used to be. So this is a search in Oklahoma City for the phrase used cars. Do you see number one above the fold? Absolutely not. You see 4 pay-per-click ads? Oh wait, sorry, clicker. Man, this thing is sensitive. You see 4 pay-per-click ads and you see the top of the map pack. So the number one organic result that we all always wanted, because that's what showed up, you gotta scroll down to even see that now. And then if I look on mobile, you gotta go 4 scrolls down before you get to the first car dealership for that phrase. So number one's not what it used to be. Google is going to personalize your search results based on your past search history. Whether you're logged into Google or not, on that computer or that phone or that device, your past search history is going to have an influence on what you see. And with localized searches, the position that you're in when you're doing the search, whether it's at your desktop computer and they're looking by IP address, or you're on a mobile phone and it's using triangulation of mobile signal to know exactly where you are, those results will be different as well. So when you combine the two, every single person in here is gonna get different search results. Everybody in here will see something differently. So instead of looking at rankings and caring about rankings and using that as a metric to say, hey, am I winning? Am I the best at SEO? Forget about that. Rank tracking is dead. It doesn't work anymore. You've got to target local visibility. You've got to do everything you can so that your site will show up in that local area when somebody does a search. And this is the crazy thing. People will spend tons and tons of money on PPC, and they'll spend money on Facebook ads, and they'll spend money on third-party leads from other sites and Angie's List and all these other things. But your biggest source of traffic to your website is organic search visits. And it's also your biggest source of leads. So if it's your biggest source of leads, how come so many people are scared of investing money in SEO? Why would you spend all this money on all this other stuff and not nurture the biggest opportunity that you have to make more sales? But you gotta remember, SEO is not cheap. It is butts and seats. You can't automate SEO. You have to have physically people sitting there doing the work, and that costs money. So your friend's cousin's brother's nephew's aunt's neighbor that's gonna do SEO for $350 a month is just gonna take $350 a month. They're not gonna do anything for you. And you also have to remember, SEO is a marathon, it's not a sprint. You cannot do SEO and magically be #1 a month later or a couple of weeks later. It takes time. So I put a video up on our blog if you're curious about watching this. It's at bit.ly/SEO-timeline. That's also a really good tool to show to clients to make sure that your clients are educated and understand and have the right expectations for the SEO service or the marketing service that you're trying to provide for them. And it's important to understand too, those of you that saw me last year have heard this already, but those of you that haven't, there's actually two different kinds of SEO. When most people are talking about SEO, they're talking about traditional SEO. And that's where you're manipulating signals both on a site and off a site to influence how that site shows up when somebody types keywords into Google. But there is a more complicated subset of SEO called local SEO, where you're doing the same thing. You're manipulating signals both on a site and off a site, but you're targeting searches in a specific geographic area. So let's say you want to get a pizza, and you type in pizza delivery. Just because there's some mofo in New York that's a super badass SEO doesn't mean that you should see Domino's from New York City when you're here in Oklahoma City, because you're not going to order that pizza, and Google understands that. So Google is looking at a different algorithm for these local searches. Now, if you have a business, work for a business, or service a business that has a physical location, brick and mortar site, or a business that's a service area business, like a plumber, so you're serving customers in a particular geographic area, then you need to be doing local SEO. Now, if you need help explaining to your customer or to your boss how local is different from regular search, I just mentioned pizza delivery because it's a great example. Now, there's more example or more in-depth example here at bit.ly/local-SEO pizza. But what we tell people is we say, look, we're typically talking to car dealers. You're sitting in your office at the dealership. Type 2 words into Google, pizza delivery, and it's going to spit out a list of pizza delivery spots right there at the dealership. But then if you go home that night, you type the exact same words in, pizza delivery, and the results are completely different. And that's because Google knows that the intent of your query is to find something local, even though you didn't enter a city or a neighborhood along with your search. So that's a really good way, and the light bulb will kind of pop on and people say, oh, okay, I get that now, that makes sense. And then you can use a simple math equation to then prove why you need to do SEO or need to do local SEO. And this one's pretty complicated, so you'll want to go watch this video, bit.ly/SEO-simple-math. But the basics of it are, let's say whatever business, let's say you're a dry cleaner, and there's 20 dry cleaners in your city. Well, there's only 13 results on page 1 because you've got 10 blue links plus the map pack. But you're going to have the aggregated directory type sites and Yelp and things like that. So really there's maybe 8 spots on page 1 that a dry cleaner could really show up in. So if there's 20 people and there's only 8 spots, that's 12 people that won't be on page 1. And page 2 is only 10 spots, so that's 2 people that are going to be on page 3. So you've got to be doing SEO if you want to show up in those top spots. But also, you're usually looking at a metro area. So if you've got a business that's in Norman, well, sure, you want to also show up in the greater Oklahoma City area. So in that case, you may have 200-300 businesses fighting for those 8 spots. And if you want to show up there on page 1, you got to be doing local SEO. And it's really important that you pay attention to the updates that Google pushes out. Because whenever Google makes an update, you have to change your SEO strategies, or you could be doing things that get you in trouble. And Google's not making updates to make our lives harder as marketers. Google's making updates because Google wants people to keep using Google. Google makes money by people staying on Google and clicking on AdWords. But if you guys were using Google and doing searches and the search results sucked, you'd stop using Google and you'd start using Bing or Yahoo or DuckDuckGo or something like that. So Google, whenever it figures out there's loopholes that people can manipulate to get sites to show up higher that don't really deserve to be there, they're going to close those loopholes. But as a marketer, you need to pay attention to this so that you can adjust your strategies and stay on top of things so that you're not either hurting your business or the businesses that you work with. So golly, this is a sensitive clicker. So with all of these things going on, how are you supposed to know what to do to optimize your sites? David Mim is a guy that used to work for his own company, and then his company got bought by Moz, and now he has quit. But for years, he has done this study where he'll take the top 40 people worldwide in local search and send us all this questionnaire. We fill out the questionnaire, send it back, and he aggregates the answers because nobody knows what's in Google's algorithm except Google. And now that they've got RankBrain going, like Larry talked about, Google doesn't even necessarily know what's in there. But if you take these top experts that are futzing with these signals day in and day out, and we know, hey, if I tweak this thing here, that's going to help this site be more visible, and then you aggregate those answers, you can get a pretty good handle on what's going to work for local search. So this is still the 2015 numbers. This came out in October of last year. We're actually doing this year's survey next week. So follow me on Twitter or pay attention to the Dealer on blog. Once the new study is aggregated and comes out, I'll be sharing the results of that. But you get a nice little pie chart every year. And the pie chart shows you which signals matter the most for local search. And within those sections, what are the most important pieces within that section. So for the rest of the presentation, I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you what these important signals are and how to optimize those. So starting with content signals. That's 20.3%. It's the biggest chunk of the pie. Content is by far the most important thing. It's the foundation of everything else that you're going to do from a marketing standpoint. If you don't have awesome content on your site, nothing else is going to matter. But the important thing here is quality, not quantity. A lot of people have heard that Google likes fresh content. And they take that and they run with it and they start just pushing out tons and tons and tons and tons of content on a site. You can't do content for content's sake. You have to have a plan. So make sure that you're pushing out quality content or you're going to be in trouble. You've got to stop pushing out all the crap that you're pushing out. Car dealers are really bad about this. Lawyers are really, really bad about this. Don't push out crappy content. When you're putting something on your site, if you have the thought process of, I'm putting this on my site because Google's going to love it for my SEO, then you're doing it wrong. Everything that goes on your site should be there because you're putting it there knowing that it's going to make your site better for your users or your potential customers. So think about it. When you're putting something on there, have that in your head. Is this good for my users? And a quick little aside here. I'm a giant Star Wars fan. You can see I have a Star Wars shirt on, but I'm also a big Trekkie. And so when this movie came out, I was super pumped, and I was like taking my boys, and I'm like, guys, this is gonna be so great. We're gonna see the new Star Trek movie. You're gonna love it. And I wore my Star Wars shirt, or my Star Trek shirt, and I was all pumped, and we go, and then we get out of the car at the movie theater, and I look down. My kid, oh man, my kid had the totally wrong shirt on that day, and I was really embarrassed. But it was kind of funny. I mean, he was trying. He just got the wrong star thing in there. Golly, this thing is sensitive. So when you're putting your content on there, also think about, am I comfortable explaining this to Google? If someone from Google were to come walk up to your desk while you're putting that content on the site, are you comfortable saying, hey, Google, look, here's what I'm doing with this content. Here's why I'm doing it. Here's why it's important. Because if you're doing something where you're like, yeah, Google might think that's kind of shady, you're probably doing it wrong. Same thing with your competitors. Are you doing something that's so shady you don't really want your competitors to know about it? You should be comfortable telling your competitors, hey, I'm kicking your butt in Google and here's why I'm putting all this awesome content on my site. That's the sort of stuff you need to be doing. Your content has to be unique and it has to be useful. The most important question this is the most important slide in the entire deck. The most important question you ask yourself, everybody in here thinks they should be number one. If you're the dry cleaner or the car dealer, everybody thinks they're the best and they should be number one. But there's only one number one. So ask yourself, why do you deserve to be number one? And if you can really truly answer that question and not like with the crap that everybody puts out there like, oh, we treat our customers like family or we're family owned. You know what? So is everybody else. That's not original. That's not useful. Answer this question truly and you will be able to kick major butt because content writing will be so easy. And then once you've written the awesome content, you want to read it out loud. This is where a lot of people fail. We'll see stuff all the time where people will say, hey, we're the best Toyota dealership in Dallas. So if you're looking for a Toyota in Dallas, come to our Dallas Toyota dealership to buy your Toyota in the Dallas area, because we serve Toyotas to all the Dallas Toyota dealer people that are looking for Toyotas. And you think, wow, this is great, I've got Toyota in Dallas in there a million times. The problem is, when you read it out loud, you're like, wow, that sounds really effing bad. So read your content out loud. It needs to be conversational. If you read it out loud and it doesn't sound like something that you would say to a customer face-to-face, then it's wrong. So that's a really important tip. And then once you've written the awesome content, these are the ways that you want to optimize it with local signals. So the title tag is what shows up above where the URL is, and it is the most weighted SEO element on the page. It carries more value than anything else for SEO optimization or search engine optimization. That's redundant to say SEO optimization. All the SEOs in the room are like, dude, what a nerd. So you want to make sure that you get your location information into the following areas. Title tag, by far most important. Please don't put your business name first in your title tag. You don't need to optimize for the name of your business because you're the only business named that. If anything, put your business name at the end of the title tag, but make sure you've got your location information in there. Also in the H1 heading, that's the big thick headline that's right above where your text is. Make sure you've got your location information there. Make sure that's conversational as well. I can't tell you how many times I go see a website and you click the About Us button and it goes to a page and the headline says About Us. That's not conversational and that is not optimized. So make it great. Also, you've got to have it in your content as well. It's really important, obviously, to have it in your content. And then in the alt text on your images. So Google can't, as far as we know, interpret what's in an image yet. So Google just sees, oh, hey, there's a picture there. There's a 400 by 600 picture or whatever size it is. Doesn't know what it is. So the alt text is code that goes in that image embed code that explains what's in that image. And it's a great place to push additional location information. If you can put it in your URL of the page, that's a really powerful signal as well. So if you guys are using WordPress sites, you can just go in and edit the slug so that you've now got your city and state abbreviation in the URL. Now, if you guys are writing this down or typing this down, make sure if you're going to go back and change URLs on a site that already exists, you've got to be really careful you're not screwing up other SEO efforts done in the past. So if there are links pointed to that page and you go change that page URL, those links all become broken. So you want to set up what's called a 301 redirect. If you have questions about it, find me during the break, I'll explain. Also in your meta description. The meta description is code behind the scenes that populates those 2 gray sentences that show up under your blue link when you show up as a Google search result. Now the meta description does not play in Google's algorithm at all. It's ignored. But because it shows up as the description under your blue link, it's going to help you get more clicks. So it's really important to get that location information in there too. You also need your NAP information on every page. NAP is name, address, phone number. Should be on every page of your site, and being in your footer doesn't count. It needs to be either in your sidebar or up in your header. Don't make people look for your phone number if they want to call you. Also, incredibly important, speaking of phone number, that it is a local area code phone number. Everybody has cell phones, nobody pays for long distance, you don't need a toll-free number on your site. If you're doing call tracking, it will wreck your local SEO signals. If you do call tracking and you have to keep doing it, come find me, I can explain the right way to do it without wrecking everything. You need to have a blog. Blogs are no longer a luxury, you've got to have a blog so you can put more fresh content on your site that doesn't necessarily fit in the main menu pages, and you need to blog on a regular basis. Now, people will always ask me, well, what's a regular basis, Greg? Well, a regular basis is whatever you can sustain. You need to make sure you set a content calendar and you stick to it. That might be a post a week. That might be 2 posts a month. But whatever it is, on a regular basis, you need to be posting to your blog. And when you're doing these blog posts, make sure you're putting up shit that people actually want to read. Car dealers are really bad about this. They'll go to Car and Driver and copy the article that Car and Driver just wrote about the new F-150, and they'll go put it up on their blog like, hey man, check it out, we got the new F-150. And you know what? Nobody gives a crap about that. You've got to put stuff on your blog that people care about. Remember, you're not putting it there for SEO, you're putting it there for your customers. So write something interesting so that when you share that link on social media, people will go, oh, that's cool, I'm going to go check that out and read it. Also, make sure you're sharing those links on social. I can't tell you how many businesses I've talked to that have great blog content, but they just write it and leave it out there and expect that it's just going to show up and everybody's going to find it, and they're really disappointed that it doesn't do too well. You've got to do the marketing part of content marketing and go share those links on social media so that people will see the stuff that you're putting all this effort into. And you need to make your blog a local destination. When we do blog posts for clients, 50% of our blog posts are about the business and marketing and sales and that sort of stuff, and the other 50% have absolutely nothing to do with that business or what they sell. The other 50% is about the local area. local news, things that are going on. Because if you share that sort of stuff, that's what people like and that's what people will read. So there's some tips right there, bit.ly/local-content-ideas that you can springboard off of. And a really great quote from Mike Ramsey. Local content, it's not about being unique, it's about being local and being useful. You've got to truly be local on your blog if you want to have good local content. So some local things that you guys can talk about. Sports teams are great to talk about. Local events, 5Ks, community events, talk about these things. Public figures, figures in the community. And then there's useful things, directions to your location, directions to local landmarks, directions to local events and things like that. Favorite spots, things that you like to do. We love to do like, here are the top 5 barbecue joints that we love to go eat lunch at. Those posts are awesome. And plus, Soylent Green's people. Like 4 people have seen that movie. Go watch it. It's phenomenal. Useful things, details. Talk about specific details of things going on in the local community. Write guides. Guides are awesome. Put them in a PDF format. People will download it. You'll get tons of links. And here's a really advanced level tip. It's hard to show up in a city that you're not located in. If you're in a metro area and you're on the outside, really hard to show up in that main metro. This is a strategy that will help you do that. It's local content silos. I'm actually a guy that invented this thing, and like I write about it and talk about it all the time. You can go read my article on Search Engine Land that really explains it in depth if this is something you're interested in at bit.ly/local-content-silos. But I now have 9 minutes left, and I've got to really go fast. So link signals next, 20%, the second biggest piece of the pie. After the Penguin update, it really matters what kind of links are pointed to your site. It's not just a numbers game. You've got to have a site linking to you that has a reason to link to you. There's some sort of business tie or local tie there. But because of that, the traditional link builders, they're really scared to go after links from sites that maybe don't have a ton of authority. But the secret for local SEO, those low authority, we call them crappy church sites. All the traditional guys are scared of them. We love them because those sites are so hyper-local that Google's local algorithm carries a ton of weight with those links. Plus, those links are really easy to get. So make sure instead of trying to go after like Forbes or Huffington Post or creating these giant content pieces and putting out all this PR to try to get links, go after these crappy little local sites because they're awesome. And take advantage of the relationships that the business already has. Your business has probably been in business for a while and has relationships with other people and other businesses in the community. Mine those relationships to get more links. And you're already doing things in the community. You're doing golf tournaments and sponsoring things and doing stuff at church. So take advantage of that as well, and you can get really easy links. So if you need more ideas for local links, you can go here, bit.ly/local-link-ideas. Now, important questions to ask. When you're building links, you've got to think, does this link provide a clear value? Is there a reason for this other website to have a link to your website? If there's not really a reason, then it's not really a good link for you to get. And then, is it a relevant link? Is it something that makes sense for your business? And is it something that you're not worried about showing Google? If you're like, wow, this is a great link, but man, I don't really want Google to see it because it's kind of shady, well then don't do it. And then, is the link actually going to get clicked? With local SEO, sometimes we're building links. We don't care about the value of the link for SEO. We want that link on that church website because a lot of people go to that church website and those users are going to click that link, and that link alone will bring us traffic. And plus, for those of you that are fans of the 80s, that's Iron Man with a bra on his head in Weird Science. So also, you've got to earn that link. You don't want to just go fill out a form. You don't want to pay for the link. You want to have a link that you got because your content's awesome. And please remember, don't point all your links to your homepage. This is somewhere that a lot of people fail. They'll just go try to get as many links as they can. Boom, they're all at the homepage. You don't want to do that. You want to point links to your internal pages. If you have an About Us page or a services page, or like for Car Dealer, they want to rank for auto repair and auto service. Get links to those pages, and that helps those pages show up better in searches. So you've got to point them to your internal pages. And also, you're working on all this awesome blog content. If you get a couple of links to a blog post, man, that blog post will just skyrocket and start showing up really high in the rankings. So make sure you're doing that stuff as well. Man, this is sensitive. Internal links are something that a lot of people don't think about, and they're really important. An external link is like a vote from another person that you've got good content on your site. So the external links tell Google what other people think is the best content on your site, but your internal link structure tells Google what you think is the most important on your site. So you don't want to link to every page from every page. In fact, your internal link structure should be like a pyramid. I've got that guy tattooed on my arm right there, by the way. It should look like a pyramid like this. So the home page should come to your major category pages that go down to subcategory that go into the major detailed pages. Because if you're going from your home page and just immediately linking to all of this, you're completely diluting the value of those links. And also, you should never have more than 75 to 100 links on any one page of your site. That includes your full menu and submenu and any links that you have in your footer. So for most of you, most of the time, that's a good 40 or 50 links just from those two things. So you don't need to have a link every fifth word through your content. So be careful with that. Now, when you're doing link research, you should use Open Site Explorer from Moz or Majestic, or there's another company called Ahrefs. You want to pull those links, and what you do is you just put in your URL, and it spits out a list of all the sites that link to you. So you pull your link profile and check it out. But because you just have to put in a URL, you can check your competitors as well. So look at your links, then look at your competitors' links, and you can look for easy opportunities. Now, you don't want to only get links that your competitors have because you need unique stuff, but you can find low-hanging fruit. If it's linking to your competitor, it's going to be easy to get that link to yourself as well. Plus, because unique links are what matters, if you can go grab these links that your competitors have that you don't currently have, that devalues those links for your competitors, and it won't matter as much for your competitor because now you've got a link from the same site. So it's a really good strategy. Golly, man. Also, pull other businesses that are kind of similar to what you do, or pull the same type of business in other cities. You guys are here in Oklahoma City. You don't want to rank in Dallas. You don't want to rank in Denver. You don't want to rank in New Orleans. But pull searches for those cities, because then you can look for patterns. And sometimes you'll see a similar business to yourself in another city that has just a brilliant idea for really good local links, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, I could do that myself. So you want to look for these patterns in other ways outside of your immediate market. Now, moving on to Google My Business, 14.7%, but with stars. Now, the number is going to change. That 14.7% is going to go down because Google is about to remove location information from your Google My Business or Google Places page. So here's what it looks like currently. And Kellen, there's my Event Horizon slide for you, buddy. This is your current slide, or your current page. You've got your reviews, your description, your categories, your map, and all that. Everybody's familiar with this. Google is making the change to pull all the location information, so now it's basically just going to be a social page with no location information. Because user behavior has changed. People don't go to your Google My Business or Google Places anymore. They interact with this information when they do a branded search for your business, and they see this information over here in your knowledge graph box. Or if they're on Maps, they're going to go to Maps and search for your business and see that information on Maps. So it's not really a scary thing, it's just a change in user behavior that Google's reflecting. But it's still important to claim your location. If you're not claimed, you won't show up in map searches. And if you have problems getting into it, maybe somebody else that used to work there has left under bad circumstances, kind of like the person that's hacking the Twitter feed here that left and wants to be a jerk about stuff, and they won't answer and you can't go in and reply to your reviews, you can go to phone support, and phone support will help you get in there. Now, this is the article I wrote, bit.ly/google-phone-support, that will walk you through how to get through the forms. It's kind of convoluted, and Google will call you and they'll help you get back in. But really, you can kind of ignore that because there's a brand new thing that just came out that's even better. They've got Twitter support. So even if you don't really use Twitter all the time, just get on Twitter and tweet at Google My Biz and tell them the problem that you're happening. They'll ask you to send a DM with more specific instructions on or details about what's going on, and boom, it gets fixed immediately. I haven't used phone support in 3 months because Twitter support is so awesome. So if you can't get your business claimed or if you need to get back in because you're locked out, this is awesome. You got to make sure that you're using a local phone number on your listing, and that phone number needs to match the phone number that's listed on your site. That's a huge signal to Google of local relevancy. Finishing it up, I've got like 2 minutes to go through a ton of slides here. 13.6%. Citations are mentions of your NAP, your name, address, phone number on other websites. It's like your online multipass. Your information has, thank you for the people that laughed at that joke. Your citations have to be 100% consistent everywhere they appear. Your citations play together kind of like this. The big thick lines are the major data feeds that feed down into the kind of thinner lines that's the second level that feed down into the third level. So if it's a third level site and it's getting conflicting information from higher level sites, it doesn't know what to show. And then everything compares back to what's on Google, and Google's not quite sure what the authoritative information is because Google's seeing all this different stuff. And you've got to be where Google expects you to be. If Google thinks you should be listed on 50 sites and you're only on 20, that could be a big part of the reason your competitors are kicking your butt. So if you've got incorrect or incomplete information, that sends Google a bad signal. This is my favorite story. The orange one there is the correct way to spell this dealership's name. He was in Metairie, Louisiana. He is now closed. He's not in there anymore. But still, that was the correct way to spell his name. The other ones are the number of ways he misspelled his own dealership's name on his own website. So his citations were all over the board. So month 1, all we did was fix his dealership name to be the orange version on his site and off his site, and in 1 month he went from not showing up at searches at all to being the number 2 organic result and the number 1 map pack result. So you can check your top 15 sources with Moz Local's free tool, moz.com/local/search. You put in your business name, your zip code, and it pops out a list of possible matches. You want to see one. If you see multiples like this Mountain States Toyota, then you've got a lot of problems you need to fix. But once you click on a listing, it pulls this up. So you check this out. If there's any red like this, that's incomplete or inconsistent info. If there's yellow like that, that means you have a duplicate, and that's bad news bears. So you can go in and fix that. Now that's the top 15 sources. You can use Whitespark's tool at bit.ly/local-citation-finder, and that is going to help you find every citation source and even find new ones. So that's awesome. So finishing up really quickly, I know we've already had some stuff about Facebook ads, but the most kick-ass thing about Facebook, nobody's even talked about yet. So I'm going to share it with you guys today because I love you and I want you guys to have some cool stuff to go home with. So you should advertise where people are spending their time on their mobile device. And here's a really good graphic that shows how mobile time is divided on different apps. The size of the circle corresponds to how much time is being spent there. Okay, so that's all of the major apps. Now let's add in Facebook and Instagram. Boom. Don't you want to be spending your money there? And just as a joke, there's what Pokemon Go looks like if we add that. If you're boosting posts, you're not advertising. You're boosting posts. You're getting more reach. That's not running ads. You have awesome demographic targeting that we've already talked about. We don't have to cover that. You can upload your email list. That's awesome. We've already talked about that. Who cares? You can create lookalike audiences. Awesome. Who cares? What you do care about is a new ad type called a local awareness ad. With the local awareness ad, you drop a map pin on your location and set a radius, and anyone within that radius will see that ad on their mobile device. It's super cool. You can set the radius as narrow as a 1-mile radius around that map pin, but get creative. You don't have to drop it on your location. There was a car dealer in California that dropped it on 5 competitors' locations and ran ads because what do you do when you're getting your oil changed? You're screwing around on Facebook. So he ran an ad that said, and the only place you could see this ad was at competitors. Hey, if you want to come buy a set of tires, you buy 3 tires, we'll cover the 4th tire. In 1 month, the guy sold 15 sets of tires. That's 15 people that he stole from competitors with Facebook ads. It's amazing. Or run them at local events. There's a 5K in town. There's some film festival in town. There's something cool going on. Boom. Kind of like they were talking about the Snapchat geo filter. Same thing. Drop a map pin on that location. Boom. Everybody on Facebook's going to see that ad. Or here's what's really crazy. I was talking to a car dealership that we work with here in Oklahoma City and said, hey, how would you like to advertise at OU games or at Thunder games? And the guy's like, I'd be stinking great, but it's too expensive. You know what? No, it's not. You want to run it at a Thunder game, and the Thunder game is a Friday night? You run that ad from 7 o'clock to midnight, and you spend $100. What are people doing between quarters? They're looking at their phone. You're going to have thousands and thousands of people see that for that $100. Local awareness ads are super cool. And besides just the radius, you can also do all the other demographic targeting on top of that radius. So hopefully that was not too fast and too painful. I didn't really want to explode your heads. How many people in here, show of hands really quick, have not seen scanners? A lot, right? Because here's what happens next. He really literally explodes his head. So the truth is out there about local SEO. Hopefully I help you guys find it. That was Doc Brown's platinum or plutonium-powered local SEO tips. You can download the deck right there. There's my contact information. Obviously, if you're on Twitter at all, you've noticed I live tweet conferences. It's a really great place to get additional free information from all the conferences I go to. Shoot me questions at my email if you have anything you want to know. And if you download the deck, there is a list of all the movies at the end in chronological order. Thank you.
Greg Gifford, everyone. So Greg, I've got a Twitter question. It was tweeted from Luke Skywalker. The question is very serious. It's, did we spot a Klingon bird of prey earlier there in the deck?
There was one, yes.
There was a Klingon bird of prey, Luke.
Yep.
That definitely was. I have a question for you. I really like the simplicity of the question that you asked, which was, why do you deserve to rank? I think that's a great question.
It's a great question, but it's really hard to answer for most people.
Right, and I went to, in my head, my first thought was differentiation, just like a traditional idea of how is my brand, whatever it is, how is my business different from a guy down the street who technically does the same thing. But it sounds like you were kind of going a different way and talking about differentiating yourself with regard to how you create interest.
Well, it's how you're different from competitors, but it's at a higher level than, you know, people tend to say, well, we treat our customers better. We treat our customers like family, or we've got lower prices, or we've got no haggle prices, or all those really cheesy things that everybody tends to say.
Right, everybody says
and
that.
that's true, that's differentiating yourself from your competitor, but that's not really differentiating yourself. Like, when I say that, like, truly, why do you deserve to be better? What's different about you at a really, really deep level than the guy up the street? And if you answer that question, then it's really easy to write your content.
All right, we've got a couple of microphones out in the audience. If anyone didn't have the mind explosion there at the end and can recall a question from somewhere in the 105 or 127 slides, so if anyone does, make sure you raise your hand and get those microphone people's attention after this presentation or any for the rest of the afternoon. We want to make sure we get questions in real time. Just giving everyone a second. All right, we've got a couple up here. Where's the microphones?
You can just yell, I'll repeat.
They can just yell. Go ahead and yell right here in the front row.
You mentioned phone tracking is not ideal if you're having to like get rid of the local number. Like, would it take too long on stage right now to?
I can go through it quickly. He asked about tracking calls and why it's bad for SEO. The reason it's bad for SEO is because Google expects that a local business is going to have a consistent phone number everywhere, and typically when people do call tracking, they're going to have a bank of numbers and put a different number on every website so that they can track all the different lead sources, and so that confuses Google because it sees that mismatch of phone numbers. So if you want to do call tracking, the best way to do it is you can do call tracking with a local number. It doesn't have to be an 800 number. And you can also do call tracking with a single number everywhere, because most of the call tracking providers are going to give you transcriptions of your calls. And typically people are going to mention what website they're calling about. And if they don't, it's really easy to train your staff to ask that question. As soon as that's mentioned, that makes it into the transcription, so it makes it into your attribution model. And so then you're okay. It's also important that you own that local number, because if you switch call tracking providers, then you have to get a whole different number, a whole set of numbers. So if you own the number, it's a local area code number, and you use that same number everywhere and rely on the transcriptions for attribution, then it's still okay to do call tracking. But it's bad when you're using 50 different phone numbers.
All right, we've got time for one more right over here.
So it makes sense that rank tracking isn't going to work, because then you'd have to do keywords for every zip code you're in or whatever. How do you measure the success of your local content? Is it like geo and Google Analytics? Or
So we actually do rank tracking on our own just to have an idea of the competitive landscape. We want to see from a high level how visible are we and how visible are the competitors we're working against. But as far as that being a metric of success, it's pointless because it's not really what humans see. So as far as success metrics for us, it's, are you getting more visibility, which means are you getting more organic traffic over time, and are you getting more leads over time? That's really the only way that you can truly check to see if it's working well.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Gifford.
Thanks, Al.